Wow! Welcome to the 10th episode on how to make a car in Autodesk Fusion 360. So if you've made it this far, really well done, guys, because 10 episodes, it is a commitment. So well done on reaching this point. As you can see, this is clearly more complex than making the aircraft and the helicopter, because I believe in about 10 episodes we had actually finished the entire series. But in this one, it's going to take actually a couple more to finish the base structure and then a little bit more to add the details. But keep on going. It's perseverance, consistency, and discipline that allows us to reach our highest points. So well done, and let's talk about some more stuff. So I've finally been able to create a Q&A form, and this is on Google Forms, so it's super simple to use. All you have to do is go to the link in the description, and you'll be presented with this page over here. And all you have to do is you just need to post a question. Obviously, your email account will not be shared, so it can be completely anonymous. You can make yourself known if you want to, just add it in the question. And it's a long form, so if there's anything long that you want to ask, please feel free to do that. And you can ask me as many questions as you like. So I'm looking forward to the questions, and I'm looking forward to answering these questions. They will be in a different video. They won't be in a live Q&A session. Maybe we can do a live Q&A in the future. Number two is that we want to do a YouTube Live next Monday, which is the 14th of August. And what we'll be modeling is still unknown, but I've received a few very interesting aircraft models from people in the previous lives and the previous videos. They had requested me. So I'm going to be tackling one of them, but I do not know which one yet. And I want to keep it that way. I sort of want to do a shuffle sort of situation where I put in the names, and then in a random generator, it will tell me which one to make. So I think that'll be really, really cool. It's it's just something fun that we can try out. And number three is Patreon projects. Still no update on that. I would like a few people to join. But if there's something that you have a question regarding, please feel free to ask me, and I can definitely answer those. One final update is that in the previous video, I tried out something new, and it was a feedback or suggestion that was suggested by one of my subscribers, who had said if I could possibly highlight the mouse as I was using it. But a few of you have said that it was either too big or the colors were not there and it was a bit annoying to follow. So I've received a few more suggestions, so I'm gonna keep it simple in this video, but in the next one, maybe we'll try something different. And on that notice, let's get started with the next tutorial. Okie dokes. So in the previous video, we stopped over here where we had built this section over here, which was quite a complex surface that extends from the side view and goes all the way till the back. So we ended it somewhere over here. And in this video, what I would like to do is focus on this section over here. So we'll take it all the way to the middle section. And we'll also add this section over here, which is just the thing on the top. And the reason why I want to do that in this video is actually very important, because if these surfaces are made just right, then everything else that comes on top and on the side becomes a little bit easier to do. So this is a sort of strategy that you can decide as you go along in the project. And once you've done a few projects like this, you know what kind of things will help you make the process a little bit easier and faster. Okay, so the first thing I'd like to do is create this surface here. And please do pause this at this time, try it out yourself, and then see what I did. And if you've done something different, please let me know. It will be very, very exciting to see. Okay, so I'm going to start from the side view, and we'll go ahead and create a sketch on the side view. And again, as always, making sure that we have our 3D sketch on fit point spline. And I'm just going to go ahead and click there. So I've just attached a point over there. And then we're going to go ahead and try and do something as closely above as possible. So somewhere there. All right. So that's good. We've pretty much just made a straight line with a spline. But the reason why we still want it to be a spline is because there's going to be some form of curvature, maybe in another dimension. So let's go from the top view. And from the top view, we can see that this is obviously not correct. We need to bring this down to the right point, and that will be somewhere over here, right? And again, as I said in the previous video, and this is an advice I'm saying, but I should probably follow myself more, is that before working on the tangents, make sure the two main points of the spline are first in the right dimension, in the right places in 3 dimensions, and then you can go ahead and work with the tangents. Okay, so now I can work with the tangents because these 2 points are correct position. Let's just also make sure from the side view, yeah, that's completely fine. So the only dimension that this spline will have a curvature from is the top view. So let's go ahead and click on the line, and we can see that we can click on the green line next to it, which are the tangents. Right click, activate tangent handle. Stuff we've done in every single video, but just making sure we are all following. Okay, and there we go. Just a very gentle curve over there. And now all we have to do is join that one to that one. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's do fit point spline going from there to there. Okay, and there we go. So that's a pretty decent line. Now you can see that it's not quite vertical. And if I were to try and make this vertical, it wouldn't even allow me because it's a 3-dimensional line. So what we can try and do is move this line, move that point a little bit to the left. Maybe 10 is too much, so maybe I'll say 5. 5 looks about right, so I'm going to go ahead and press OK. Okay, and it's very possible that this is still not a vertical line, but don't worry about it too much. What we will eventually do is we'll extend this entire surface all the way there, and then we're going to use the plane of symmetry to cut it exactly in half. Okay, so this looks good from the back. Of course, it does not look very good from the side because from the side it's just a straight line. Now, one thing I've noticed when I looked at one of these, let me just bring it into this screen so we can all see. And you can see what's happening here is that, if I just zoom in a little bit more, is that this surface was smooth and then there's a bit of a dent here and then it sort of goes up. You can follow this exactly if you like it, or you can try something different. It's completely your choice. Of course, this is the boot where you can open up and store some luggage. So let's go back to Fusion. And what I want to do is, just for simplicity's sake, I'm going to click on the tangent, right click, tangent handle, and just for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to make a bend like this. I think some of the Mercedes have something like this. I think they're the AMG models, where they sort of have this smooth curve at the back. Okay, and I think that's really curved, so I'm just going to pull this a little bit like that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch now. And we have 1, 2, and 3 lines. So that should be pretty straightforward. Let's just go ahead and press patch. And again, making sure enable chaining is not ticked. All we have to do is click on 3 lines. And there we have it. So that's a beautiful curve right there. Again, if you really want, you can follow the blueprints exactly. So you might have to create a couple more splines and do it in a few more surfaces. But I'm just going to leave it like this for now. Okay. Now here comes a little bit of a tricky thing. In the previous video, we didn't go and make this all the way till the center. And of course, you can sort of roll back in time, edit the sketch, and see if that works for you. And that is something I've also shown before. So all you will have to do is go back to the sketch where you created this surface, which is this one. And you just have to edit the sketch and drive the 2 points all the way to the center, and then you can model the rest. But in this one, I want to show an extension technique. So what I want to do is I want to create another sketch over here, and I'm just going to bring this folder down. And what we'll do is, again, making sure 3D Sketch is on over here, fit point spline, and I'm just going to grab the very last point over there, go back to back, and I'm just going to draw a straight line. So here's the middle section. Of course, we don't have any reference to attach this point onto the middle section in 3D space. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it approximate. So approximate and a little bit extra. So somewhere over there. Okay, so that's a straight line right there. Again, I want to do the same thing from there to there. And essentially what I've done is I've just created 2 straight lines using splines. And then I'm just going to go ahead and join these 2 now. So that would mean going from there to there, and press finish sketch. Cool. So all that's really happened here is because these two were straight lines, all that would happen with this surface, if you have a look closely, is that they'll just be in a really similar position to what the previous curve was. Okay, so we can go ahead and patch this. So let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and press OK. Okay, so now you may be wondering, how do you deal with this one? Because this is not a simple straight line. This is actually a complex line in 3D space. So there are a couple of ways we can do this. We can either use extend. So let's try and use extend and see what happens. And I pull this, and you can see that unfortunately, it's sort of taken a slightly different approach to what we were originally thinking. And this is because it's taken the most natural way to extend the surface as possible. Whereas what we've done with this line is sort of moved it horizontally in a single direction. Okay. And you can see that's not really what we're looking for. So we can go ahead and either say free edges or align edges, and neither of them work, which is completely fine. So let's cancel that. So another way we can do this is to use create and ruled. So we've used a ruled in a different one. Again, make sure chain selection is not ticked. Try and do normal, but you can see that in the normal direction, it will take it a completely different direction. Let's try tangent. Again, makes sense that it naturally wants to go in that direction. And then we have a direction which we can select. So if we do select direction and we select this one, and now we try and pull it. Okay, 1 second. So let's try and select the direction. Yep, and that's not working either. So that's completely fine, because the main technique I wanted to show you here was that of sweep. So let's try using the sweep in this case. And again, it's possible that it may not work, and that's completely fine as well. So let's do sweep, single path. The profile is this one over here, and the path itself is this one here. And you can see it's sort of done a weird thing where it's taken a bit to the left and it's almost done one to the right. But that's not what we want. So let's pull this in a little bit. So we make the other direction 0. And over here, we are trying to make it a bit more, and it's not quite working. But let's press OK for now, and let's leave it where it is. So essentially what we've done is we've taken that surface and just swept it using this as our path. Okay. And again, we can try and do this again, but it's possible that it may not work. So at this point, there are a few more things you can try. You can either try extending this line over here along that path. So if we try and use natural and either free or align edges, and it might work for you. For me, it's not working. Create ruled, again, you can try using that, and then you can try using a direction, and you can select the direction as this one and select the edges as this one. And that might work for you, but it's not working for me still. So I found a slightly different approach, which was to, let's just remove this body that we've just created. And what I'd like to do is actually use the sweep, but in a slightly different manner. So hear me out. We'll take the sweep and we'll use this as the profile and this as the path. And you can see what has happened is very beautiful. It's just taken on the exact same curve as we wanted before. So this particular method worked for me in this case. Otherwise, I would usually use the ruled or extend or sweep in the normal direction. But again, if that didn't work for you, and I'm glad it didn't work for me, so I could show you this other method. Now, before we continue, I want to make sure that this is now in half. So I'll use the trim tool, and I want to use the green line as the tool. And I'm going to click on these two and press OK. And there we go. Now this is perfectly vertical. And now we can go ahead and build on top of this. So the next thing I want to build is this section over here. And I want to do this by using the right plane. So again, create a sketch on the right plane. Make sure 3D sketch is on. Fit point spline. Now there are two things you can do at this point. One is to create a spline from here to here, or you can try and create a spline from here to here. And the reason why you might want to do that is because you can see that this curve here would follow very nicely if you were to make it into a single spline, but it would be difficult to do from this view. So if you wanted to take that as a single spline, you would have to create 3 points instead of our normal 2. So you could do 1, 2, and 3, and you can then try and maneuver your tangents there. I personally like to keep splines to 2 points, but sometimes I'll take it to 3 or more if really needed. But for simplicity's sake, I'm going to use 2 splines. Okay, so I want my first point to be anchored here, and my second point to be anchored here. And again, following my own advice, hopefully, before maneuvering anything, we'll make sure that our main points are in place. So we can go ahead and do that. So top view is good, side view is a little bit off, but that's okay. Let's make sure it's good from the back. It's not, actually. So I'm going to move this back a little bit to here. Again, let's have a look. How is it from the top? A little bit to the right. But from here, it's a little bit down. So you can see there's a little bit of incompatibility, but that's okay. Just stick to 1 or 2 dimensions that you want to stay true to, and then build on top of that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and now change this a little bit. So bring it up. And of course, we need curvature here. So doing something like this. Yep, that looks good. And let's also make sure from the side, from the back view, that's perfect. Okay, so I think I'd like to pull this a little bit to the right. There we go. That should look good now. And now we can go ahead and go from here to here. So fit point spline again, from here. And remember, if we go to the back view, you can see that it's not really letting us go there. And that's because we created the sketch from the side. So I'm going to go ahead and do something there. Again, now going to the top view. So I'm just going to save because we're working in splines. Press M on the keyboard and now drag it all the way till the center. And a little bit extra to the side. So go ahead and press OK. And that looks good from the top. That looks good from the side. And it looks good from the back as well. So now we can go ahead and maneuver this. So let's first maneuver it from here. So the 2 dimensions, the 2 planes that I want to be maneuvering this from is the top plane and then the side plane. So in order to do this, if I move the tangents up and down in this plane, it should virtually make no difference to the tangents in this direction. Because remember, they are in a slightly different dimension. So if I do activate tangent handle here, so if I pull this one up and press OK, and this one also to do up and down instead of left and right, because if I move left and right here, that would mean I'm also moving left and right here, which I don't want to do. Okay, so now I want to pull this in a little bit, and I also want to pull this in a little bit. And you can see by doing this, I've made sure that while changing the tangents in one dimension, I'm not affecting the tangents in the other direction. And we've talked about this a couple of times, but yeah, just reinstating it here because it's pretty important. Okay, so fit point spline, again, going from that one there to, oops, looks like that didn't actually snap on, no problem. Let's delete that and do fit point spline from there and make sure it actually snaps. Okay, and from the back, that looks good. Again, it's not completely vertical yet, and that's completely fine. We will trim it away. But most importantly, we need to make sure that the curve here is correct. So let's do that. And a little bit of curvature from here. So from the top view, side view, back view. Perfect. let's finish the sketch there. And we can go ahead and patch this. And the reason is because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remembering that this is, in my model, this is not a single surface, and therefore it won't allow us to loft it as smoothly as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and patch it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's not good. It's not letting me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not very nice. Okay, so patch is not working for me, which is interesting because patch has always worked, and you've seen the happiness I feel when a patch works out. But in this case, it's not letting me do that. So one thing we can try is to stitch these two together so they can act as a single surface, and then we can try lofting it, because in this case we have 1, 2, 3, and that, if that becomes a single surface, becomes 4. So let's stitch these two, and now let's try and loft it. So loft, and I want to try and use this as a single surf profile, this as another, and then I'm going to use this as a rail and that one also as a rail. And there we go. So our 4 edges are now complete and this has been made. Perfect. So when I was doing the trial run for this, the patch worked, which was interesting. But I still haven't been able to figure out why sometimes the patch works and sometimes it doesn't. If you have any ideas, please do post them in the comments below, even if it's just a theory that you have. Okay, so in this tutorial, all we've done is we've created this section here, and this is actually a pretty important section, as I said, because it will allow us to eventually create the surfaces on the back in a more simpler way. Okay, so that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and congratulations on coming to the 10th episode. Please do feel free to post some questions using the link in the description below. It will take you to the Google Forms. And remember, your responses are anonymous unless you tell me who you are in the response itself. Sorry, in the question itself. So, yep, thank you so much, and hope to see you all on Monday, August 14th at 6 p.m. UK time. And hopefully we'll have some fun on the YouTube Live making something together. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great time ahead. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. I do feel like the number of comments on the videos are going down, and we are trying to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So we'll be super, super grateful if you could engage with the community, engage with the videos a little bit more, and we'd be super cool. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great rest of the week. Bye.